Our correspondent Nizar Sadawi is in the studio with me now. Nizar, you were on the ground in Gaza until very recently. Tell us more about how this cash crisis is exacerbating the daily struggles of Gazans.
Well, the crisis itself has already been exacerbated by the Israeli policy towards Palestinians. Now, this goes back to the 1990s, actually. I know it's not the time, maybe we don't have that much time, but we have to explain that the entire Palestinian economy is absolutely reliant on the Israeli economy, meaning that there's something called the Paris Protocol in 1993 as part of the Oslo Accords 1993, which means that Israel gets to collect the tax revenues, what we call the clearance revenues, on the behalf of the Palestinian Authority in exchange for 3% commission. Now, they have been withholding much of this money over the past few years. From 1999, to be honest, because that protocol should have ended in 1999, but it didn't, without any clear reason. Until 2019, that's 10 years, Israel took more than $5.5 billion of Palestinian money. And then they started cutting more money, citing reasons that Palestinians are paying money to the families of prisoners, for example, or what they call the Martyrs Association. This is an institution affiliated with the Palestinian Authority. Meanwhile, all the cash comes from Abu Alim. That's the central Israeli bank, one of the main Israeli banks, which means that Gaza does not have any actual cash inside the enclave. When the October 7 happened, when this war started, everything was closed. There were no more crossings, no more bank transfers between the Palestinian Authority and the Israeli authorities, which means that whatever cash Palestinians have in Gaza is pretty much the same, nothing enters. Another thing, I actually deliberately explained this part, the Paris Protocol and the tax revenue money, because the main impact of this was that the Palestinian Authority has not been able to pay the salaries of their civil servants, so they can only pay 40 to 60% a month. So, for example, if you're a civil servant in Gaza, you only get, let's say, 50%, for example. If you take $1,000 a month, then you will only get $500 in your bank account. And because there are no ATMs working, except for a couple of ATM machines recently destroyed in Deir al-Balah and in Nusayrat, you have to go to certain shops and get that money, not from the bank, but from regular traders, in exchange for a 20% commission. So the $500 out of the $1,000 that you got in your bank account will technically be $400. That's the thing. And of course, life is insanely expensive in Gaza because of the fact that there's no aid coming in, there are no goods, no nothing, and the things that do exist in Gaza are all, and I do mean all, overpriced. 70 shekels, that's technically 20-something dollars for 1 kilogram of sugar, for example. These are the new prices. So when I was there, I've seen that happening. Even me personally, I couldn't take my own money from my own bank account because there are no banks. Recently, there have been several attacks on a few branches that were still operating in Gaza, especially for the main Palestine bank, one in Deir al-Balah and one in Nusayrat. And to protect their staff, they had to shut down, which means that everyone in Gaza is expecting this commission to be at least 25 to 30% within the next few days.
Okay, Nizar, thank you very much for joining us today and giving us all this insight.